What's up guys, welcome to new Unreal Engine 5 tutorial, and today I'm gonna show you on how to make the God of War axe throw. It's gonna be a very easy video to follow, so let's get started. But first, check out the link in the description to get awesome Unreal Engine courses on Winfox. Alright, so the first thing that we have to do is basically get our animations to basically throw the axe and catch the axe, etc. Now, basically I have downloaded a Kratos model and some Kratos animations that I will be linking them in the description just in case you want to get them. Also, I have set up a quick blend space. Now, I will not be covering how to make this blend space just to have the animation for walking and have the little animation because I have a tutorial on that, so I'll be linking it in the description, how to make a character controller and blend space. So I'll be linking in the description. I just thought that it wasn't really the point of this video. The point of this video is how to make the God of War axe throw. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just go into the third person character blueprint, and I'm just gonna duplicate it, okay, just to have it a bit more neat. Kratos. But of course you can use the one on there. I'm gonna move it into blueprints, but you can use already the one that is created, third person blueprint, or if you already have a character and you just want to add the animations to top of that, of course you're free to do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and open it up, and I'm just quickly gonna replace this character over here with my Kratos model. So I'm just gonna put it over here. Let's go ahead and make it a bit smaller, maybe 0.45, it will be okay. And then this in here, we're gonna get the BP Kratos. Okay, so now we have the animations, etc. on. I will also go ahead and leave the Kratos axe, the Leviathan axe, in the description, a Sketchfab link in case you want to go ahead and get it for yourselves too. Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and add the axe into the player's model. So in this case, go into the mesh, just add a static mesh, and it already is selecting the axe, basically because I had it selected on the project, but you can just go ahead and select here the static mesh. Okay, so then the pen socket is gonna be the right hand, so let's go ahead and find the right hand, so it will be placed over here, and then we can go ahead and start rotating it and basically place it correctly where we want to have it. Another thing it's going to do is make it a bit bigger to match a bit the size, and then I'm going to go here and just disable real time so the animation will not be moving, so it will be easier for me to basically go ahead and get the position of the axe on place. So let me just go ahead and put this around here. I think this is pretty good. So there we go. Let me just enable again real time. Now we have the axe over here. Gonna go down and disable the collision for the axe because we don't want to interfere it whatever, just to have it as a model representation. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make it so that when we basically left click or whatever, we will basically go ahead and make the throw animation and actually throw the axe and etc. So I'm gonna go into the event graph, just find a place over here, and let's find the left mouse button. So when I press this, what we're going to do is go ahead and play an anime montage. Basically, it will just play an animation. So like I mentioned before, on here I have all the animations that I need. Like I said, I will be leaving it in the description. So we have here the throw axe animation. Of course, you can use your own animations, so it is pretty cool. Now I think that I'm gonna get rid of part that just goes to reach it. I don't know really why I have that part, so I'm just gonna start from here. I'm gonna right click and remove from frame 0 to 107, so it will start from there, and then I will stop right on here, move from frame 107 to 186, so you have a small section of just throwing the axe, and it will just blend later on. Great. So I can just go ahead and delete that, get the throw axe, right click, and then we're gonna go ahead and create an anime montage. We're gonna leave the name like that, and we can just select it, go back into the blueprint, and just go ahead and hit this arrow so it will be placed in the anime montage. So with that, you will see that if we go into world settings, and we have to do one more thing before we actually press play, and it just select the default pawn class and just put the BP Kratos that we have just basically created, or in your case your blueprint. So let's go ahead and press play. You will see that we have Kratos over here. Now you will see that it's not moving, just animations to the blast space, you have to do one more change. But if I go ahead and press the left mouse button, you will see that the animation will be perfectly playing. Okay, so now that we have the animation playing, I'm just gonna go into the animation blueprint and make sure that you have a default slot on your animation blueprint, because the anime montage will basically play on that slot. So just make sure that you have it in there. I'm just gonna do a change here, and it's because I had another character over here, so I'm gonna do again the cast to just Kratos. This up here. This is just my blank space. You will not need to do that. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is to actually spawn the axe that we're gonna throw. So in order to do this, you will see that we need to catch the frame that we are throwing our axe. So we can see the frames over here. So here, so we can see that I will want to throw my axe right over here around. So in 0.65. So what we're going to do is just add a delay with 0.65. So right on here, what we want to do is spawn a new actor from a class. And then here we're gonna spawn our axe. Now we'll create the blueprint in a second. But first of all, let's say where we want to spawn our axe. Now to have it match correctly where we're looking at, what we'll do is just get the follow camera and then get the weld transform, and then just go ahead and split it, and then we're going to just get the location and just add in the X value just 100 forward, and then we can just put it back into just split it in the transform and just plug it back into the weld here. So it will just spawn a bit further away from the camera, just in front of it. And then the rotation, we can just plug it in, and the transform scale, we will need to leave it as normal. And then in here we will say always spawn, ignore collisions, so we can make sure that it will always spawn. Now we have an error because we haven't created the blueprint. We'll do that in a second, but first let's go ahead and disable our axe that we are holding right when we're throwing it, because of course if we are throwing the axe, we will not longer have it in the hand. So to do this, right after we spawn it, we're going to just get the axe and then just set visibility into false. There we go. Okay, so now let's go back in the third person map. We can go into a content browser. I'm just gonna go into blueprints, and right on here we're gonna right click and create a new blueprint class. This is gonna be type of actor. It's gonna be something as BP use axe throwable, so we know that is the one that we throw. Okay, so let's go ahead and open it up. So we'll go ahead and add a new static mesh, which will be our axe, and we'll just place it over here, the model, and then but we'll need two components. Okay, so as you know, God of War, we go ahead and throw it, and it basically turns around and it spins as we throw it. So just go here and add a projectile movement component, and this is just gonna be adding the force forward. Okay, so the initial speed will be something as 1500, and our max speed as something as 3000. You can change this parameter as you want to fit it in, but for now I'll be basically leaving it like that. And then Pareto gravity scale, I'll just put in it at 0.1. Okay, then we'll go ahead and add another component, which will be the rotating movement, and this will just make it spin on a point round and round again. So in the Y here position, I will just place a 700, leave this as 180, and then here rotation rate, I'll just put 0.1 to get some randomness into it. Okay, so now when we throw it, this will go forward and basically spin. So we can go back into we can close the montage, go back into our Kratos blueprint, and we can select now the class of axe thrower that we have just created. So now if we go into third person map and go ahead and press play, you will see that when I throw the axe, it did something really weird, and also the axe in the model just disappeared, which is what we want. So what was happening is that we throw the axe just in front of the camera, but it basically went all through the character and etc., which is not what we want. So the problem here is the positioning of the camera, because you know that in God of War is slightly more closer and to the right, so we have space to throw the axe. So this is exactly what we're going to do, and just select the camera boom, and we're gonna set it around 200, so it's gonna be much closer. And then in the socket offset, we're gonna basically increase this, so let's say 50. Yeah, so I'm gonna make it a bit more higher, so it's, you know, more like in God of War. And then in the Y, I'm gonna also put around 50, actually 100, so it's more to the right, and we have more space to throw the axe, like again, like in God of War. So you can experiment with that values, but you can see that now is much better. So now if we throw the axe, you can see that it's spinning, and it looks really cool, and also it has disappeared from there. So everything is working as intended right now. So let's continue. Right now what we have to do is that when the axe hits and impacts a point or the ground or whatever, it has to basically stop and you snap at that position. So let's go into the axe throwable blueprint again, and we're gonna go into the component section, and right in the axe, what we're going to do is add a sphere collision. So we're gonna be using this point to basically detect what we are colliding with. So you can just name it detection point, for example. So basically just place this around the head of your axe, if that's how it's called, and then go down and just make sure that it's just in overlap or dynamic, which is what we want. Now we're not going to be using the event of on component hit or whatever in this place. This is because it will give us some issues in the long term. So what we want to do is basically line trace into that area. So we're going to go into the event tick, and we're going to go ahead and event grab, sorry. I'm gonna delete this too, except the event tick. So this will basically run in every frame each second. So we're gonna say a line trace by channel, okay? And this will just create an invisible writecast, like a line from a starting point into the end point, and will be basically detecting what object we are getting from. So we're gonna get the detection point. I'm gonna start from here. So I'm gonna get the world location. So this will be our starting point, and then we'll want our get world location again, but I'm gonna go ahead and split this into h coordinates. I'm gonna go ahead and split it again. This is because we want to add some forward, some more value in the forward vector. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add this and just put a 1 over here and just plug it back into X, and then the Y and Z in here. So we'll basically get a line trace from the middle of this point and just a bit more forward, so we can go ahead and detect what we're getting is a bit more advanced. We'll leave everything as default except for this. We'll set for duration so we can just preview how it will look. So now what we want to do is just get the branch on the return value, so just make sure that it has collided with something in order to get its stuff, and then in out hit we'll go ahead and break the result, and we'll get a lot of parameters. So what we want right now is to only do it once. So we're gonna go ahead and add do once into it, and then what we want to do is stop all the movement. So we're gonna get the projectile movement and then stop movement immediately. So we'll just stop going forward. Then we'll get our rotation movement, and then set the rotation rate here, yeah, into 000, so it will also stop spinning. And then lastly, we'll want to get our projectile movement again, and then set the gravity scale into 0, so it will basically not fall or anything, and we just stick there into the object that we have collided. Okay, so we can go ahead and test this out. So it should just snap into what we are colliding with. So let's go ahead and throw it, and you can see that it just stayed over here. Now of course we have some problems, as sometimes it will just go ahead and basically just go through the ground and stuff. Now, you know, and sometimes also will snap into Kratos. So to fix quickly the thing of snapping into Kratos, or however you spell it in English. So to make this, we can do two things. We can change the trace channel, or just add an actors to ignore, which is what we're going to do. So just go ahead and make an array. And on here, what we're going to do is just cast to BP Kratos. I think it's this one, and then we're gonna get that point over here, and then this is gonna go over here, and then over here, and then this is gonna be the get player character. There we go. So it will be basically ignoring our own character, so it will not be colliding with Kratos. Great. So yeah, we'll have some problems, as you know, basically it will sometimes go through the ground. But you know, because this is just a simple tutorial, I will not be covering how to fix these issues. Now, if you really want to fix them, just leave a comment and I will try to help you. But let's go ahead and continue going on. So, as you know, when in Kratos, in God of War, sorry, when you throw the axe, it sticks to the ground, and then you can go ahead and return it back into the player, which is exactly what we're going to do. So let's go back into the axe throwable, and what we're going to do is I'm going to make this more prettier, just putting this up over here, because it did look a bit weird. Okay, a bit better. Okay, let's go back here, and we're going to go ahead and create a new custom event, which is going to be just like, for example, return the axe. So return, oh my god, the capital, return axe and to player. So when we call this, it will return the axe to the player. So we will go ahead and do this once again, just to make sure that will not repeat itself or whatever. And we'll go ahead and cast again into the player, so we can just get the character node and the Kratos and just copy it and paste it, so we can save some more time. And what we want to get is the mesh itself, so we'll return back into the mesh. So I just get the mesh, let's go down, and there we go. And then we will get the weld transform of the mesh, so we can access all its properties, and let's go ahead, right click, and we'll go ahead and split all the things that we need. And then what we get to do is get the default scene root, which is like the main object, the parent of this blueprint actor, and then just say move component to, and it will basically move all of this object into a point. So we're gonna put this in move, and then the location will go into target relative location, and the rotation into here. Great. So now it will be going into our character's mesh. Now what we're going to do is one more thing at the end, because it will go back into our Kratos, but it will not be enabled again into the hand. We will not have it again because we disabled it before, this model over here. So we have to go ahead and enable it again. So we're gonna go ahead and get it again, and then say get axe, go down, we have a component over here, so we'll be accessing our component, there we go, and then we'll basically set our visibility. And it's really cool because it will always return us a completed event, so it will launch this after it has reached our player. We don't have to delay it or whatever, so it's really cool. And we'll set it to true, and then after that we'll go ahead and destroy this actor, destroy this throw axe that is just returning. So but we need to call this whenever we want to, right? In God of War you can throw it, and then whenever you want you can just call it back again normally, right? So let's go back into our BP Kratos. We're gonna go into the event graph, and in the left mouse button what we're going to do is basically create a new boolean. So it's gonna be on axe on hand, for example. So if it's on our hand, so we're gonna go ahead and get it and do a branch over here. So let's go ahead and put it here. So if it's not, sorry, if it's on our hand, we will continue doing this, because if it's on our hand we can go ahead and throw it. And also just quickly go into the hand variable and compile, and then just enable it by default, because by start you will probably have the axe on it. And then if it's false, it's because it is, we have throw it, but before we set it before we continue with this, I'm just gonna set it to false, of course, because it would not do anything. So now it will be false. Okay, so now if it's not on our hand, it means that we have thrown it, so we want to return it back. So what we can do is just go this, and then return value, promote to variables is gonna be axe throwed. So the one that we have throwed, just put this here, and then over here we're gonna go ahead and get it, right click, convert to validated get, so it will only continue if it's created, basically if it's not empty. And we will go ahead and call this the return X to player, and there we go. So we can now compound save and can go ahead and press play. So right now it's on our hand. We can go ahead and throw it into the floor. It will snap to the floor and then is not on our hand. And then if I click again, it'll go back into our Kratos. Now you will see that it was really quick, and maybe we want to add more effects. So another thing that is happening is that we have to, I missed this, and you just set it back to true when we have got it on our hands, because if not, we will not be able to throw it again. So let me just test this. So we can throw it, and then we can go back, and then we can throw it again. There we go. So you can see when we go back, it just doesn't do anything. So let's quickly, the first thing we have to do is add the animation of getting it. So I also have an animation of that on here on caching axe. Now you see it's a get hit animation that is just gonna represent as getting X. So let's go ahead and get it out. So it had to be fast, so I'm just gonna start from here. It will start fast and then it will end pretty fast too. Bam. Just quickly, you know. And then go ahead and right click and a montage for it, so we can call it from the blueprint easily. And let's go back into BB Kratos, and basically we're just gonna go ahead and call it in here. So play anim montage. There we go. And we're gonna place the caching axe over here. So now when we go ahead and throw it and goes back, you will see that it snaps back into player and it kind of gets it. So that's really cool. Another thing that we can do is that we're gonna go ahead and increase a bit this time. So instead of 0.2, we can just put 0.4 for example, and it will kind of more take a bit more time to go back into the player's position. But now because of this, we have to delay a bit this animation. So let's delay it just 0.2 seconds. I think it will be great. Let's go ahead and throw it, and then it will go back, boom, and there we go. This is really looking really cool. Now I'm gonna do one more thing in the axe, and you can see that there was a weird camera flicker. It's because this is just going in front of the camera for 1 second, and it just detecting it as an obstacle, so it's snapping in front of it. Basically the detection system of the camera. So just go quickly into the axe over here, and in collision presets, set it into custom, and then set the camera to be on ignore, and the same in the detection point. Go ahead and in custom and in camera ignore. So now it will be pretty smooth. Go ahead and throw it and then get it back. There we go. So it is looking extremely cool. I really like how it basically has ended up. Of course, you can go ahead and add sounds to make it look even better. You know, in my case, I don't really have any sounds to add because I will need to basically get them. But you can see how awesome it's looking. So yeah guys, if you enjoyed the tutorial and want to see more content like this, leave a like in the video and subscribe to my channel. I have lots of Unreal Engine 5 tutorials as this one, so go ahead and check them out. And check out the courses in the description. There's amazing Unreal Engine courses you can get on the description. So yeah, with all that said, leave a comment on another Unreal Engine 5 tutorials you want to see, and now with this, with all said, bye bye.